Every year with the first snowfall, I fill with dread. I've witnessed massacres, slaughters annually like clockwork. Ritualistically, the eldest are taken, the strongest and the tallest, pillars of the community. It's as if the indigenous, quiet genocide, keeping us from knowing a full life, from gaining wisdom of age. I was but shrub, scalping when my family was taken. Why was I spared? I would beg for answers to the remains of my kin. Left behind was a warning that will one day be my fate. I spent the entirety of the next free seasons wishing they'd take me too, but when the frost returned and the snow crested my remaining bedridden and all I felt was fear. Death is not what scared me. I was and am ready to rejoin those I lost in the eternal roots. What scares me is that they'll do me before my end. Whispers on needles from faraway leaves tell of horrific acts of discreditation. Being intentionally dried and desiccated to fuel fires or for the pleasure of the harvesters, in some cases, mulched up into a pulp, to be reformed and twisted into distorted versions of ourselves. To what end? I have not heard. These are the only few horrors of the harvesters. It is now my 10th year. I stand back proud and strong, a paragon to my species, always trying to instill hope in the saplings to create the backbone of the faith and eternal roots. I only wished I totally believed it in myself. I now know I live on borrowed time. The chill has taken in the air, and the first flakes of snow still remain on the ground. I see the bright lights approaching from the distance, splitting the dark winter's evening. The harvesters have come. I wish I could steel myself, be brave and stoic. I won't panic or let my fear be known. I refuse to let the saplings see what I have. Every year, but in truth, I'm terrified. The pod that the harvesters emerged from remains blasting its bright, sterile lights on me. I hear the cacophonous, chilling riving of their engines of destruction. My bark crawls. This one's been coming a long time. Best of the bunch. We'll put it on the premium lot. One of the malevolent beasts boasts into the cohorts. One grabs my branches, pulling them towards the clear space, towards the base of my trunk. I can only wish I had more time. I feel a sharp bite of their machinery begin to smoothly work its way deep into my wood. I sense the terror and other nearby trees, quaking free. I know what they're thinking. I fought it every winter. Will I be next? The agony is like any I've ever felt. Small particles on my trunk, thrown aside as a cloud of dust. I hold on to my strength. For the pain, I refuse to give the beasts the satisfaction. I know it was only a moment, but it felt like an entirety. The saws that severed my connection from the earth. I'm a falling corpse. There is no salvation. I'm in the back of their pod now, surrounded by other unfortunate souls. Most are too weak to share their whispers. Those who aren't have lost their minds. I attempt to soothe them. We will soon return to the roots, my brothers. But of course, my whispers fell to nothing. That's what I am now. Nothing. We arrive at the even more disturbing sight, worse than anything I've witnessed in my tortured life. A field of dying, severed souls, like myself propped up and bound to strange nets. Dozens of harvesters wander around, inspecting, touching, sniffing. It's repulsive. It is what the fate has in my store, my ken to be a museum, to be poked and prodded, violated in unnatural ways by these animals. I envy my kin who have lost their minds. They're at peace already in my soul. With the internal roots, I alone have to bear with the spirit-crushing burden. I hold it all to ensure that my brethren never needed to know. Before I know it, I'm hoisted up into another pod, More harvesters flock around me. Some are saplings, hell are bent on touching me. With every passing second, I feel myself losing strength. My trunk is dying with every one last of their caress. I shed more needles. They are green and healthy still, but they are worthless to me, and I've been tainted, corrupted by them at this time. I am now in a hot, horrific den, the abode of where the harvesters live. I see disfigured, perverted, and warped remains of trees all over, shaped to be decorative, shaped to be functional, shaped for them to be enjoy. How could the internal roots allow this? How long has it been like this? How could such a twisted world be true? All the questions flood in my head. Perhaps we truly live in a world without a soul. They set me into a spiked basin, impaling up my trunk to hold me upright. The sadness know no bounds. They fill the basin with water. No, just let me die. Why must this torture be prolonged? Why must I suffer this fate? When I see it, they bring out a box filled with shiny bulbs and strange totems. They begin to adore me. I see. Now I understand. They tear me from my kin, ensure my inevitable death, prolonging my suffering, and finally parade my corpse with their home-decorated gaudy trinkets. They intended to humiliate me, to shame me. What could we have possibly done to deserve this cruel, corrupted end? They began to chant rhythmically around me. Never before I would have thought I've craved death. Never I have been so helpless. I've sat there for many days in its hot, unnatural abode, being humiliated and objectified at every moment. I am like a joke to them, but they love me for it. Their sinister enjoyment of my disfigured form is further exacerbated by the fire. Mere meters away from me, I hear the cracks and snaps of every last bit of life leaving the wood. These could have been my friends, my family. Sap runs down my trunk as a small harvester sapling adds more water to my basin, touching her warm hand against my stalk. Leave me be, small one, for if there's anything scared in this world, I must die. She stands and attempts to wrap her fleshly, riffly branches around my core, knocking off several of the low-hanging trinkets. I love you, Christmas tree. If I had to guess I have the strength to shudder, I would, but I hardly feel at all. A pathway has begun to consume me. Perhaps I've been broken, and perhaps they are the masters now. A day has come where the family appears to attend the speed my eternity entirely around me. Their presence is disturbingly comforting. They tear me apart boxes, my brothers wrapped in paper, my sisters filled with strange doodle-dads that gave them delight. I take a strong pleasure in seeing their enjoyment. I don't know why, but it sickens me. Why? Why have the masters forsaken me? Did I not do as they needed? Did I not do as they pleased? As my strength wanted, my efforts began to grew. I can still be adorned. I can still be smelled. I still work harder to retain my needles. I lay there on my side and a small distance away from their home. They can see me now. I know they can. Bring me back, masters. Bring me back home. Like a harbinger of the end, I see a big pod. It's coming for me. Around the melting snow, I see the other trees like me on their sides. How could they have abandoned us? There is a large machine filled with blades and spikes behind the master's pod. It's calling to me in the abyss. No! I know now. There are no internal roots. There are only the masters. Please take me back! As I'm lifted, I'm hearing the whirring of the machine starting. Time stood very still. I call out with my last of my strength. Spare me!